You ever have one of those moments, where you look back on a decision you made and just think to yourself, what on earth was I thinking? We're all familiar with that feeling. So today, we're going to dig into the very real price we pay for those moments of poor judgment, and, more importantly, how we can start making better ones.
I mean, let's be honest. We've all been there, right? Maybe it was that sure thing investment that just vanished, or a single careless comment that completely fractured a friendship. It could even be something small, a moment of distraction that ended up having huge consequences. These aren't just little oopsies. They all come with a price tag. So what is that price really, and how do we stop paying it over and over again?
Okay, first things first, let's get our terms straight. When we use the word stupidity here, we are not talking about IQ or how smart someone is. Not at all. We're talking about specific, correctable behaviors. Things like reacting purely on emotion, being too arrogant to listen to advice, or just not thinking things through. This is all about improving our judgment, not some fixed measure of our intelligence.
So how does life actually bill us for these screw-ups? Well, think of it like an unseen invoice. For every single lapse in judgment, for every bad call, life has a funny way of sending you the bill. And a lot of the time, you don't even see it coming.
And this right here is the absolute core of the whole idea. It's not about punishment, it's not bad karma, it's not bad luck. It's much simpler than that. Life just works on a system of cause and effect. A poor decision is the cause, and the consequence, well, that's the effect. That's the price you gotta pay.
And what are the currencies on this invoice? Well, they're the things we value most, aren't they? We pay with our money, for sure, but we also pay with our time, which you can never get back. We pay with a damaged reputation, with broken relationships, with our own health, and maybe saddest of all, with doors of opportunities slamming shut. These are the real, tangible costs. Okay, so if we know what the price is, how in the world do we avoid paying it? Well, the very first step is to figure out why we're making these mistakes in the first place. So let's look at 4 mindsets that are almost always behind our most expensive errors. These 4 right here, they're the repeat offenders. You've got unchecked ignorance. That's basically just flying blind and not bothering to find out what you don't know. Then there's destructive arrogance, being so sure you're right that you refuse to listen to anyone. Third is emotional reactions, letting anger or fear grab the steering wheel. And finally, hasty decisions, just rushing in without taking a breath. Sound familiar? Yeah, these are traps we all fall into. Now, arrogance gets singled out here for a very specific reason. See, ignorance is a problem you can fix, you just need more information. But arrogance, that's a whole different beast. It's a mindset that actively blocks new information. It's like refusing to even look at a map and then acting shocked when you end up lost. When you refuse to learn the cheap, easy lesson early on, you pretty much guarantee you're going to have to pay a much, much higher price down the road. And this just lays it out perfectly. You've got 2 completely different paths. On one side, arrogance is like a brick wall. It just deflects any advice or warnings coming your way. But on the other side, you have intellectual humility, which is more like a funnel, actively pulling in new ideas and perspectives. Just being open. That simple, powerful idea that, hey, maybe you don't have all the answers. That's the real foundation of good judgment. All right, we've diagnosed the problems. Now for the fun part, the solutions. We can actually build what you could call a wisdom toolkit, a set of practical tools that can help us start making better choices, not by chance, but by design. And maybe one of the most powerful tools in that kit is learning from the mistakes of other people. Just look at this breakdown. Learning from your own failure? Yeah, it's effective. You'll probably never forget it. But man, the cost is incredibly high. But learning from someone else's failure, you get the exact same wisdom, but the cost to you is practically zero. It is the ultimate life hack. Here's another must-have tool, structured self-reflection. Look, you're gonna make mistakes. We all do. The key is to not just shrug it off and move on. When it happens, pause and run through this simple 3-step analysis. This is how you turn a painful failure into a priceless lesson. This is how you make sure you never pay for the same mistake twice. Now, beyond just having individual tools, we can actually build entire systems into our lives that act like guardrails, They protect us from our own worst impulses. Let's talk about building up those defenses. Your first line of defense is your environment, and specifically the people you surround yourself with. If you hang around a careless circle, poor judgment starts to feel normal, even acceptable. But if you're in a wise circle, their thoughtfulness just naturally raises your own standard. It really comes down to a crucial question.
Who are you letting set the default settings for your own behavior?
And here are some other incredibly powerful systems we can build. I want you to start thinking of discipline not as something that restricts you, but as something that protects you. Financial discipline protects you from the stress of debt. Emotional control protects your relationships from saying something you can't take back. These habits aren't punishments, they're your personal automatic shield against making costly errors.
So how do we tie all this together? Well, the goal here isn't to suddenly become perfect overnight. That's not going to happen. The real path to wisdom is about turning good judgment into a daily intentional practice.
In fact, let's redefine wisdom altogether. Forget about some old sage sitting on a mountaintop. It's way more practical than that. At its core, wisdom is simply reduced stupidity. That's it. It's the process of making one less unforced error today than you made yesterday. And this is what that daily practice actually looks like. It's about creating the habit of pausing before you act. It's committing to reading and learning all the time. It's about getting a handle on your emotions, actually taking the time to reflect on your mistakes and not just believing everything you hear. Each of these is a small, consistent act that, over time, compounds into what we call good judgment. It's simple, but it's definitely not easy. I really want to leave you with this final thought. You can be the most brilliant person in the room, but if your judgment is off, you are still going to pay a heavy price. Life's greatest rewards don't automatically go to the most intelligent people. They go to the wisest. And wisdom, as we've just seen, is a skill. It's a skill you can build, one good decision at a time. So ask yourself, what's one small price you can avoid paying this week?